Today's video is brought to you by StoryboardThat.com. Please visit TeacherCast.net/StoryboardThat for a limited time offer.
My one and only OneNote.
The digital trapper keeper for the modern age.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, there we go. Welcome to here live from Palm Springs at the Microsoft booth, and we're learning all about OneNote with Mike. Hey, Mike, welcome to the Tech Educator Podcast.
Hey, Waka, thanks for having me. It's great to see you. I love the cape.
Thanks. It goes with my fur, and my nose.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Purple nose. That's beautiful.
I got it special for this.
Well, I heard purple is the new black, so
I bet
you're
it
looking
is,
good.
especially around your office.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So, what are people saying here at the conference about OneNote?
Well, I tell you, Waka, they're saying a lot of really nice things about OneNote. We've been having a blast talking to teachers, talking to principals, superintendents.
I love
I got
teachers.
some great quotes here.
Let's hear them.
I got one here that's, this young man just blew my mind. That was one I heard.
Wow.
Yeah, and I heard another one that said, I love you, notebook man. This just paid the price of admission. Seeing this right here, I'm going to go drink wine at my hotel now. That's a quote.
Wow. So, Mike, when they said this young man just blew my mind, were they talking about you?
They weren't actually.
No.
They were talking about this gentleman, Greg, right over there. I'm not exactly young.
How about the part where they said, I love you, OneNote man? Was that one to you?
That might have been to me.
That might have been. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So, if you were going to describe OneNote in, one sentence, what would you say?
I would say it is like the digital trapper keeper for the modern age. Digital notebook and collaboration all in one.
Digital trapper keeper. I love that. Mm-hmm. Now, on today's episode, we're going to learn all about
OneNote at Microsoft, and we're excited to do it. Thanks so much, Mike. Looking forward to the demo.
Thanks, Waka. It's great.
And welcome to the Tech Educator Podcast. We're here, as I said earlier, live with Mike and Ari from OneNote. We're going to learn all about the digital trapper keeper for the modern era. I hope I figure out how to cover it with One Direction stickers. Hey, Jeff, can you intro the hosts? Because I'm no good at that.
How are you doing today, Waka?
I'm doing awesome.
That was
driving in the car all day, drinking a lot of coffee.
I heard you were in the trunk all day in the car.
There was a thermos back there, though.
How was Q? You met the OneNote team. That was pretty exciting.
It really was. Q was amazing.
That's great.
The OneNote team, super awesome. They even gave me a cape.
You know what I was thinking today, Walker? We should get them on the show today.
That's a great idea. Could we get both Mike and Ari?
I think we should get both Mike and Ari on the show today. What do you think?
Make it so.
Really cool. Welcome, everybody, to the Tech Educator Podcast. This is episode number 87. Walker, can you believe we're at episode 87 already?
87. I love numbers that come in a row like that.
Absolutely, especially the descending
67.
ones. Right.
Right? That's magical.
And there are some amazing things that have been happening. And first of all, we want to say thank you out there for watching live over on TeacherCast.tv and listening. We are in the middle of Microsoft March Madness. We are doing some pretty cool things over here. I want to bring up some of the great stuff that's happening over on TeacherCast.net. Of course, you can check us out live each and every week here on the Tech Educator Podcast. We have been putting out some great posts on podcasting and WordPress. We actually put out today our third episode of how to do podcasting over at educationalpodcasting.today, and also put up a blog on a recent keynote presentation I did over at Columbia University Teachers College. So definitely check that out. All of our archives, of course, are over on techeducatorpodcast.com. Waka, you just came from the Q conference. Tell us a little bit about what the Q conference was all about.
Well, the Q Conference is an amazing collection of about 6,000 educators. It takes place in Palm Springs, California.
Wow.
And so basically, you spend 3 days sitting in rooms learning amazing stuff. And it's got to be amazing, because if it isn't, you're going to go outside because it's like sunny and warm.
Well, you were in Palm Springs where it was sunny and warm. I want to bring on David Saunders here. David, where you are, it does not look like it's sunny or warm.
No,
It's March
it looks
22nd.
sad and depressingly snowy.
We recently had a snowstorm here in New Jersey and the entire East Coast. David, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Despite the cold weather and the snow, I'm doing well.
I heard a rumor that you're putting on a conference soon.
We are. We're putting on a Connecticut Google Summit in June, June 13th and 14th in West Hartford.
Is there a difference between a conference and a summit, or are they basically the same thing?
A summit was technically defined as a 2-day sort of immersive learning environment.
Excellent, excellent. And when is this again?
June 13th and 14th.
Very, very nice. Today, we have a great show. Today, we're going to be talking to the OneNote team. I want to bring on from Microsoft, Mr. Ari and Mr. Mike. Guys, how are you today? Welcome to the Tech Educator Podcast.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. It's great to be here.
It's good to see you
Jeff.
again. How are you guys? Mike, you're out at the Q conference, and Ari, you're at the ASCD conference. Talk to us about what's going on right now in that amazing world of OneNote. Mike, what's going on right now?
Well, I will say I just got back from the Q conference, but I was there for a couple of days, and it was great. I would say we had a chance to talk to hundreds and hundreds of educators, principals, administrators, tech coordinators.
And a puppet.
And there was a lot of OneNote love, for sure.
And Ari, what's going on? ASCD is still going on, right?
Correct. One more day tomorrow, Monday, in Houston, and it's actually not too hot, which is great. Nice weather here. And getting similarly to Mike, being able to talk to principals, administrators, as well as some teachers. It's not a tech conference, but a lot of them are still hearing about OneNote and getting really excited about it.
Now, Mike, you had a chance to hang out for the good or for the bad with Waka. What are some of the things that you were telling Waka about OneNote? Because I'm sure he was asking some questions about how people are using it. What is going on with OneNote? How are teachers using it these days?
Well, historically, teachers have always liked OneNote because it's like a digital binder, the digital trapper keeper that I was telling Waka about. And that's still great. And there's always been the collaboration aspects of OneNote. And those have been happening. I think the thing that is really turning heads is this new OneNote class notebook tool. And then also the OneNote staff notebook tool that just came out a couple of weeks ago. So we were really having a fun time showing teachers the new capabilities that this tool unlocks. And because OneNote's on any platform, any device, which also a lot of teachers didn't know that. A lot of principals still think of OneNote as a PC-centric thing. But we're not. We're actually on iPhone, Android, Mac, and the browser. So there was a lot of places where I think new capabilities and new platforms came out that we were having a lot of fun telling teachers about, and also Waka. And I will say Waka, the purple of that cape matched his nose very, very nicely. So we were having a lot of fun.
Well, I wear the cape all the time now. I have a lot of trouble with the cape, and I trip over it a lot, but that's okay.
What, you trip over Waka? You don't have arms or legs to trip over things.
There are things in this world beyond your understanding, Jeff.
I understand. I did read your blog, however, about how wearing the cape hides the wrist and arm. So that was a really, really good blog that you typed out. Now,
Right. It was like, hey, this is an amazing match. So one of the things that Mike was telling me about OneNote was that you could actually collect and integrate any type of content. Any type.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true, Mike?
That's true. What was that?
Is that true?
That
Totally
is true.
How does that
With
work?
everything. Content, you can put text, pictures, ink, audio, video, PDFs, any attachment. You can pretty much treat it just like paper, but digital paper, and as much as you want.
Wow.
We love trees on OneNote. Copy machines hate OneNote is what I like to say, because we like to put copy machines out of business.
Wow, so it's kind of a gangland war between copy machines and OneNote?
I don't know if I'd go that extreme, but we love trees here on OneNote.
Excellent. So if I'm a teacher, and let's say I haven't looked real hard at Microsoft recently, and I hear everybody talking about OneNote, can you talk about what it looks like to teach with OneNote if I've got OneNote kind of as a partner in the classroom?
Well, the way it looks these days, especially with this new app, this is the new Office 365 app called the OneNote Class Notebook. And what that does is it actually sets up a whole cloud notebook structure for a teacher. And so then the teacher can roll out OneNote in a collaborative way for their entire classroom. And so the teacher can do everything from lesson plans and lecture notes. They can put syllabus materials in OneNote. They can put assignments in OneNote. And what's nice is the students can easily grab copies from the class notebook, and they can work on that work inside of OneNote. They could take it offline in OneNote. They can take it on their iPhone or their Windows phone or their Android tablet. And all that collaboration and content and materials is all captured there. So a lot of teachers these days are putting sort of everything inside of OneNote, and they're getting rid of all the paper and all the binders.
That sounds amazing. So we're going through some of the top 10 features. Let's call that number 1, makes amazing classroom. Boom. That's kind of a big one. Should we have waited for that one? I don't know if I have this list organized right. Anyway, item number 2. Ari, you're on.
Yeah, item number 2, arrange any content type any way you want, just like paper. So think about being able to insert all those different types of multimedia that Mike was mentioning, but also being able to treat it just like paper, where you can put anything anywhere you want on the page. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, and that's really flexible. It's not like any other document that you'd be in, like a PowerPoint, where it's kind of a limited space and you get cramped sometimes. With OneNote, you put it wherever the hell you want, and it's great.
Wow.
And Jeff, I can switch now and share my screen if people actually want to see this in action.
Oh, let's see it in action. It sounds a lot more versatile than the blog I'm using.
Now, David, while he's switching your screen, let me bring you in here. David, as a media specialist, I'm sure there's ways that you can use OneNote to help organize all the books that you're dealing with, all the media that you're dealing with, all the students. What are some of the ways that you might be able to use a platform such as OneNote?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking part of my role as a media specialist is a tech coach or integrator, and so trying to put together resources in an easily accessible format that is cloud-based and pulls in all types of media would be a great tool for the faculty that I work with at all divisions.
Now, I bet the fact that something like this being web-based, you can share with everybody no matter where you are. I mean, the idea here behind it being that if somebody's in their classroom, they might be able to see what's in the library or in the media center. That's a pretty powerful feature right there.
I would agree, and I'm really excited to see this walkthrough because, as Mike was mentioning, I haven't really seen OneNote in a while, so I'm interested in seeing its most recent iteration.
Nice. Mike, you all set up there?
Yeah, can you see my screen okay?
I can see your screen. Here we go.
Yeah, so sort of as Ari was saying and I was saying, this is just one example, and this is all the things that I'm going to show here are from actual real teachers and students and administrators. So there's no demoware. This is all actual real stuff that was created. So this is a great example, just a jazz lesson plan that a teacher made where you can see there's pictures. You have a PowerPoint that I could just launch the PowerPoint right from in here, a Word document. I've got audio files, which are kind of nice. I can insert video. So you get a real sense of how creative people are using that digital paper. And now the other nice thing, since OneNote has ink, you can see here I'm sizing this paper, so I can create as much graph paper or as little graph paper as I want. And because I can put anything on the page, it gives me that flexibility. And if I want to have documents amongst ink, or if I want to have just pictures, if I want to have video and audio and pictures, I have that real nice flexibility. And I can create as many pieces of paper as I want. And that's a good thing to keep in mind, is that, like, if I'm going to hit add page right here, and here's my new page, I can create as many of these as I want, and I can organize them however I want. And so a key thing that a lot of people ask about OneNote, well, how is it different than Word or a PDF or some other document type? Documents are big and long and sometimes hard to navigate, and opening and closing them can get tedious. And with OneNote, you can see I can just switch from these section tabs across the top. So there's nice little trapper keeper style section tabs, but then I can also create as much paper as I want, and I can always add more, and I can always organize it in any way. And I can even very easily change the type of paper. So if I have rule lines, I might want to add graph paper if I'm in a math class, and I might want to add ruled lines if I'm going to be writing, and I can just make that digital paper however I want. So if I wanted to grab, for example, a picture, I just go here and I grab here. Oh, here's one. I know that guy named Waka, and maybe all for OneNote picture. And I'm just going to go and paste it right here on the page. And you can see here's the OneNote Avengers, and I've got Waka up here, and I say, oh my gosh, it's sideways. I can very easily just right-click and rotate that picture, make it just how I want, and there we go. And if I want to just click anywhere and start typing, I can just type on the page. And if I want to grab something right off of an attachment, like a PDF or an audio file, I can just copy those things and come right here and again paste those things right into OneNote, and there they are. And I can move them around, I can organize them. So you get a sense that people can very quickly just start doing whatever they want. They're just limited by their creativity, and that's what we're seeing with some of the things that both students and teachers are doing. They're making very creative pages. I mean, I didn't really get into ink, but as you can see here, there's all kinds of things that you can do with OneNote. It maps to the real world that people live in much closer than a keyboard, because there's a lot of things you can't do with the keyboard, especially when you're in education. You want that flexibility.
I love that flexibility of ink. Tell me, Mike, do you have any really young kids using this for like practicing handwriting?
We do. We have a lot of kids who practice handwriting in OneNote, and we have a lot of kids who even do things like you can do shading. Here's some actual real examples of some science that was getting done. You can see that highlighters, and it turns out that kids, one of their favorite features are the features here, the drawing tools, because they can switch colors, they can switch highlighters, and they can switch pen types. You can make color and thickness. I can change the color. I can make it a pen. I can make it a highlighter. If I like red pen, I can go to red pen. If I like it thick, I can make it thick. And so it's really nice in terms of the flexibility that gives, because again, all kids think a little differently, and all kids have different learning styles. Some kids are going to like very structured writing, and some kids aren't, and it's all up to them. And related to that,
it looks like a
okay.
It looks like a very visual way to present information and understanding.
No, it is. It is for sure. The other thing you can do, again, one of the third features we talk about is printing to OneNote. So,
oh my goodness, I know that one. Every time I try to print something on my misnetworked computer, it's the only option I have. What does that mean, Mike? Print to OneNote.
Print to OneNote, yeah. So the idea is anything that you can print out to tree-killing laser printer paper, as we like to call it here on OneNote, instead I could print that out digitally. So if I open up a PowerPoint here, we install what's called the OneNote printer. So if you go into File Print, you're going to see, just like your regular printers, I'm going to drop down and find myself a OneNote printer. And right now my PowerPoint is trying to connect to our corporate printer, which is at Microsoft. So give me a second. I'll just pull up a different page instead. Maybe I want to print out a web page. So I'm going to go here, and I'll do File Print a web page. So just like a regular printer, I do File Print. Hopefully this is, and you can see here, there's the Send to OneNote printer. Can everybody see the little OneNote printer here? Just looks like a printer, but it says Send to OneNote. So what I do is I hit Print, and then it's going to ask in OneNote, hey, where do you want me to print that page? So I'm going to pick a page right here on my student pages where I want to print that digital copy, and it's just going to render that web page just like you saw it. So if everybody can see here from the OneNote education blog, I just printed out that digital paper. And what's nice is now if I want to highlight just like paper, I'm going to go highlight right on top of, there, I'm highlighting on top of the paper now. And if I want to ink on top of it, I can do that. If I want to type right on top of my digital paper, I say type on paper, and there we go. I'm just typing on the paper. So you can print anything. I can go and print a PDF. I can print web pages. I can print a PowerPoint and ink right on top of it. So that's what we say when we say digital paper. And what a lot of teachers are doing, for example, we have teachers that have moved a bunch of curriculum into OneNote. Avid curriculum, those giant binders. We have some teachers that are experimenting with moving curriculum into their class notebooks, and they get rid of those giant binders. So they don't have to print out stuff and sit at the copy machines. We have schools that have actually gone, they've had ghost town copy machines, as they call it, because the teachers aren't waiting 10 minutes in line every day to make a bunch of copies. They've just put it inside of OneNote.
I really like how you can just keep the standard, I'm going to print this so I can keep it, but it just goes to OneNote and never hits the paper. That's real smart. I like that a lot. It's a curation tool, right?
It is. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, if I print everything to OneNote, how do I find anything?
That is another great question, Waka. So OneNote has really powerful search. And one of our top features also is digital search. And so what's nice is I can go up here in the search bar and I can search for anything I want. And so I'm going to search for the word Bellevue, which is a city around here. And what's nice is it finds anything that I need to find for Bellevue really fast. And you can see I can click anywhere. And, here's some session content here. And I found the word Bellevue. That's nice because it searches all my notebooks. But what's nice is I'm going to go to the presidential ballot here. This is something that was printed into OneNote. And as you might be able to see, it's hard to see on the webcam. It searches text inside of pictures because we automatically OCR anything that's printed to OneNote. So what you see here is a presidential ballot that was printed into OneNote, and we searched that text. We actually found the word Bellevue in this picture. And so you can search anything instantly. And what's nice, oh, go ahead.
That search by OCR in images feature, is that a premium feature? Do I have to upgrade to that?
No, that comes with OneNote. And we also just ship it as a service. So that means anything that you print in the cloud and you scan in the cloud, we automatically OCR it as a service. And so that's something that is free. Yeah.
Wow, that's better than some other curation and organization tools I could think of.
Yeah, and also we have about a terabyte of storage. Or actually, on OneDrive, you get many. I've lost track of how much storage you get on OneDrive for free, but it's a massive amount of storage. I believe it's up to a terabyte these days. OneDrive for Business, OneDrive Consumer has many gigabytes for free. So yeah, we're all about giving our customers free stuff, including OneNote.com. OneNote's free.
So the OCR search is great, Mike. If a faculty member is wanting to curate material, is there a way for them to sort of create custom tags for particular files or media files or whatnot?
Yeah, you can create tags. That's a great lead-in. Ari, maybe you could talk about tags briefly, Ari, and I'll just show some examples while you're talking.
Yeah, that'd be great. So tags are a great way to start categorizing your information in OneNote. So Mike was showing how you can search on text within images and handwriting, but you're actually able to do search on tags as well. So the most popular tag, of course, is the to-do tag, because you're making a shopping list, maybe you're putting all your homework assignments for the night, something like that. You can do a to-do tag. But there's tons of other tags you can do. I mean, we see teachers all over the world, especially a few in Norway that Mike could show you, where they actually use different types of tags, custom tags like movies to see, links, important links, starring important material within the notebooks so that the students can find them when they need to search. And so really tags are a great way for someone who's hyper organized to start categorizing their information in OneNote. Mike, you want to show them the Norway examples?
Oh yeah, sure. What I was going to add to that is what's really nice about tags. Let me just find some of the Norway examples. In addition to just using them for yourself, what a lot of teachers are doing, where is some of the fun Norway tags here? Let me scroll up. Who is Helen Keller? So there's all types of tags here. And this is part of the lesson plan. What happened to Helen Keller at the age of 2? There's a question. There's a to-do. And there's all types of ways. Here's some other tags up here. You can see importance. But a really cool scenario that we're seeing with these class notebooks. So as we talked about last time, and I'll let people know as well, we have a tool called the OneNote Class Notebook app that allows a teacher to very quickly set up an entire class notebook structure for their whole class. And what that means is every kid in the class gets their own private notebook by which the student or the teacher can have a private collaboration space. So this is a class notebook here where you've got a collaboration space where everybody can collaborate. And it has a place where you can do project-based learning and real-time co-authoring and all these types of who wrote what at what time. We have the content library where you can put lectures and handouts and problem of the week. And so this is read-only for all the students, but the teacher can put content in here. So a student grabs a copy, and they can move this content into their private student notebook. And the way that a lot of the teachers and students we're seeing are using the tagging feature. So here's a student. I've got student 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we might share the class notebook a little later. Let's say I'm a student and I'm working on my homework. And in real time, the teacher has access and can look at this. So here's the student. I've typed in, I'm not sure about this part. I'm confused. And I marked it with a little question mark tag. There's a question here. I'm not sure about this part. And I'm a teacher. I can go to browse around and looking what students are doing for homework. I'm looking at student 3, and this is all in real time. And I'm like, oh gosh, I wonder what other questions that people are asking as I've been doing this lesson. So I have this find tags right here. I hit find tags. It searches all the tags in my notebook. And you can see here on the right-hand side, assuming people can see that, I can scroll and find all the questions in real time about who's asking what. I'm like, oh, this kid said, hey, I'm confused. And I click that, and it takes me right to the part who said, hey, I'm confused. And this person had a question. And maybe there's a few people who are confused, or I have a problem. And you can see I can actually go and give real-time answers. I can say, here is what you should check out. Or maybe I give them real-time feedback, and I can do it very quickly. And I can see patterns. If I have 5 kids in real time, because they're introverts and they're not going to raise their hand and ask it out in class, they're typing, I'm confused. I can say, gosh, I have 5 kids who are confused, but nobody's raising their hand. I bet you I didn't teach this lesson as awesome as I thought I did. And they can go back and ask the class. So these real-time ways of checking out tags and questions and other issues people have is really powerful. And related is the paraeducator, where we have paraeducators who have to sit next to students historically in the class, the special needs students. What happens is now, because they have real-time access in the class notebook, the paraeducator can go in a different room or the back of the room, and they don't have to be next to that kid. And that kid can just type questions silently, and in real time, the paraeducator can answer them. So that makes a huge difference in that kid's experience, because they don't have to have an adult next to them in class the entire time. So there's really powerful things with tags, for sure.
I really like this idea of the... Go ahead, Waka.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, to piggyback on that, you know, it's nice because this gives you a platform to kind of run a hybrid teaching environment. Even if the student doesn't have a paraeducator, we find that students who have an opportunity to type chat contribute more in class than just students who have to speak out loud. You'll get more kids responding in a typed situation.
Exactly. We've seen
engage all
research that
types.
just came back. What's that?
I was just going to say, yeah, engage all types of students, you know, both the shy ones and the more engaged ones in person.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. I had a question about the classroom notebook. So is it essentially there's a master notebook that then gets shared out with a class, and
Yeah, let
then
me show you.
updates get pushed out to that in real time, or can you differentiate and make small groups with notebooks? Like, I would love to learn more about how that works.
Yeah, I'll actually pull it up right here. So this is the OneNote Class Notebook app, and it's part of Office 365. It's free with Office 365. And what it does is it allows a teacher in about a minute to create up an entire cloud class notebook structure for everyone in their class to engage with. And so I'll just show you how it goes. If I'm a teacher, I just go create a class notebook, and I'm going to make the ultimate notebook, which is the TeacherCast notebook, and I'm going to hit next. And this just says you're going to get 3 things in your notebook. You're going to need a collaboration space where you can do, like you just asked, project-based learning by small groups or the whole class, and we have a lot of schools doing project-based learning in the collaboration space. There's a content library, and that means read-only for the students, but the teacher can put materials in there. And that could be, again, syllabus, lecture notes, handouts, maybe assignments, curriculum can go in there too. But the best part, I think, is the student notebooks. And every student gets a private notebook that only the teacher and the student have permission to. So if the teacher is the hub, the students are the spokes. And the teacher can interact in real time with any student in the class, but they can't see each other. If I want to give co-teacher feature, I can give paraeducator, co-teachers, student teachers, team teachers. I can add as many as I want. I can go and then also add students in here. So I can add my students. I can paste from a class list. I don't have my class list handy to paste right here, so I'll just type in a couple. But it's all tied in Office 365, and so I can very easily just paste in my student list. And then the last step, super easy, is what do you want inside of each of these student private spaces? So if I want to, by default, we have some suggestions like handouts, class notes. Maybe I don't want quizzes and I just want labs. Or maybe I'm an English teacher and I want journals, so I can, add journal. This is just a template for every student notebook, and then I'm pretty much done. All I have to do is say, this is the teacher view. So I get to see my students and the collaboration space and content library. And then the student view is I just see myself. So I only see my own sections here. I can't see the other kids, and I can see the collaboration space and content library. So then I hit create, and it goes off and creates this class notebook, sends out an email to everybody saying, hey, you just got added to the class notebook, the TeacherCast notebook. And they just click the link and they start going. And what's nice is, as we said before, OneNote's on every platform and every device. So this class notebook can be opened up on an iPhone, on an Android tablet, in a browser, on a Mac, on a PC, and it can go offline, and it can go anywhere. It can go on the subway. If you're a student athlete on a bus, it turns out you love the class notebook. We've been hearing this. Student athletes have to ride 4 hours to a game and back, and they don't have Wi-Fi a lot of times. They can do all their homework now in a class notebook, and when they come back online, everything syncs up and they're good to go. So this is that anywhere, anytime learning concept really rings true with the class notebook.
And so does the teacher push updates, or does the individual student pull updates?
Neither, actually.
Go ahead, Ari. Why don't you take it from here, Ari?
Yeah, I was just going to say neither. The great thing about OneNote is that it's saving automatically. And so, once you get onto the internet, it automatically syncs. So there's no push, no pull. It's just automatically syncing across all of the different endpoints where the students or the teachers are opening OneNote.
Cool.
But the students do have to, in terms of push-pull, the content library is where the students get materials from. So they would grab a copy, but then they just leave all the content in their own private notebook, and they don't have to, the teacher can just look at it just like I'm looking at it. This is the teacher view where I can just go around and sort of check up and see what's happening. And I think as Sam, or I believe, mentioned, we've gotten research back that the impact of real-time feedback increases student engagement and student accountability. And we're just getting some of this research back from schools that have been completely using class notebooks. It's pretty powerful research you've been seeing.
Hey, Mike, we have a few questions here from our live chat, and if you're out there on TeacherCast.tv, please continue to ask us questions. Walker, what was one of the questions that you saw from the chat?
Oh, it was a great question. It was wondering, great, this is wonderful for teachers, but what about school leadership? Can this be used to support committees?
Wow,
How do we do that kind of from the beginning?
That's a great question. So, as we had mentioned briefly in the beginning, just about 3 weeks ago, we launched what is called the OneNote Staff Notebook, which is actually designed for education leaders and staff leaders and PLC and of that nature. And actually, I won't go through the whole app, but essentially the app is very similar to the class notebook. It's just called the Staff Notebook, and I'll just launch the beginning of it. I won't go through it, but it's actually designed to help school staff get organized and collaborate more effectively. And so this is the Staff Notebook right here. And you'll notice it looks very similar. It has different icons and different names and some different scenarios that it sets up. But this OneNote Staff Notebook just came out that creates a staff notebook for your whole team to collaborate in. And what that looks like is this. So Jeff, you're a teacher, and the folks here, do education folks ever have any meetings they have to go to? Just maybe one staff meeting every once in a while, you think?
We have meetings that we have to go to. We don't have meetings that we want to go to.
Exactly.
It's the same way at Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's funny.
What's really nice is we create a staff meeting notes section in your collaboration space. So the same setup, but we have Outlook integration, so I can pull meeting details. I can actually pull directly into the class staff notebook, and I can have everything ready to go. So all my meeting notes are in here, your board meeting, your August retreat planning. All these meeting minutes are captured in the collaboration space, so everybody knows where they are. And things like initiatives, fundraisers, Spirit Week is all in the shared staff notebook. We have curriculum, and Ari, maybe talk about ASCD and some of the really cool curriculum development in PLCs that we're seeing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, at ASCD, we're seeing some great things in terms of, having teachers actually work together within the staff notebook to be able to share curriculum. So you can see what Mike is showing now, seventh grade English lesson plans, being able to get feedback both from other teachers and administrators before then moving it into their class notebook where they can then start delivering that curriculum. So that's really a nice way to both kind of bridge the gap between what they're doing with other administrators, but then also working it into their lesson plans.
Yeah, so that's the collaboration space in a staff notebook. And another thing that we talked about, this is real teacher feedback. So tide charts is a great story. A problem that a lot of schools have had is the principals and administrators and even teachers can't keep a pulse on what's happening in their school. And they want a place where they can actually get a pulse on that. So this is a scenario that a school invented. They call it the tide chart, which tracks the student highs and lows. And teachers during the week in this shared space will just pop in, hey, what's going on with some of our students? Like, hey, Johnny won the football game. He's feeling great this week. And, Sally left her laptop at home and she missed tech class for 2 days. And so she's kind of upset about that. And they would just put in random happenings of the students across the school. And now the principal might pull this up on his phone and just get caught up on what's happening. They don't have to be on a PC. They don't have to be online. They can just get that pulse really quickly. And they just have a template that they use because OneNote has templates. And every week they just create a new tide chart. And so that helps everybody keep a pulse on the school. Another student or a principal scenario was these emails that fly around that principals spend a lot of time looking for the email with the link to the site and the folder with the file and the this to the that. And they just want to have everybody have that key email in one place that everybody knows about. Well, it turns out this content library in the staff notebook is perfect for that. So policy emails with the attachments, because we have send to OneNote from the Outlook, and things like fire drills. We had a principal tell us, when a fire drill goes off, I can't remember what I'm supposed to do, and I'm running around, and I'm not going to go to some website when the fire drill's ringing to read the policy on it. Well, now they put the fire drill policy right into OneNote. And now the teacher on his phone, or the principal, can pull up that fire drill policy as he's running down the halls maybe and read what the policy is. So these are actual real scenarios, because we've been talking to teachers and principals and faculty to figure out where their challenges are. And the last one I'll show is those private student notebooks. We now have the private staff member notebooks. So the app sets up in a staff notebook the private staff member notebooks that say only the principal and the teacher can collaborate in. So professional development, top scenario, now you can keep all your professional development content in that private staff notebook. Or modern classroom observations. This is one where we heard principals would love to be able to have their phone and snap a picture of the classroom and pop it into, well, it turns out OneNote in this case. They can ink. The iPad supports ink now. Tablets support ink. Surface supports ink. They can ink things in here. They can insert audio and record the actual formal observation from the class, and they can insert audio. They can put all the self-assessment pieces in here. So they are actually moving all this paper-based, a lot of these forms into this private staff notebook, and they're solving problems that they've had challenges in solving in the digital world. Even things like parent communication. If Johnny's been a bad boy and the teacher wants to keep a private copy where they want to talk to the principal about that paper trail, you can send that mail into OneNote and keep track of it in a really nice way. So that staff notebook just shipped, but we're seeing a great uptake.
So, Mike, here's the question for you. You've shown us a lot of good stuff, and there was a question out there of where can we find like a simple walkthrough, and you guys were on the show not too long ago, and I want to bring up the website here. It's actually teachercast.net/OneNote of all things. And you guys came on. It's a 34-minute video that basically gives you the whole, soup to nuts of how to do this. My question to you is, let's say that you were an administrator and you are watching this video and you got OneNote and you're like, wow, I can do all these great things. Where do you start? You're going to sign up for OneNote. You've got a blank canvas. You kind of want to use it for meetings. I think you had told me earlier that while you're taking a note, you can record audio. So maybe I want to record audio for my meetings and take some notes with it. How do you get started? What's the first brick in the yellow brick road here? Or should I call it the purple caped road or something?
I like that. The first step is actually go to OneNoteforTeachers.com, and we've just revamped our site. And as you can see, it's actually based on persona. So I would go to administrators, and look at this. We've got actually administrator guides, OneNote for school administrators. These are 5 to 7 minute interactive bite-sized trainings that help use OneNote, whether you're a teacher, you're an administrator, all the things that we showed today and all that content, all that's freely available. And also OneNote for teachers is designed purely for education. So staying organized, enhancing productivity, all the meeting scenarios I talked about are in OneNote for school administrators. All the staff notebook that I just showed, there's this 5 to 7 minute interactive training right here. And so this is like online PD that takes you from sort of the first brick in the purple brick road all the way to OneNote Purple Ninja in about maybe an hour. So you can go from 0 to ninja very fast. And Ari can talk about some of the things in the future that are coming out too.
Oh yeah, I mean, with OneNote in the future, we are thinking about just making it easier and easier for you to start doing some of the things that Mike showed today. I mean, look at the class notebook, the staff notebook. We want to make it super simple for you guys to get started with that stuff. And so the first step really is a site like this, OneNote in Education, or OneNote for Teachers, where you can get from square one all the way up through a ninja very quickly. But then it's also, how do we reduce the barriers to you getting into it and just creating a class notebook for you and your students, or a staff notebook for you and your colleagues at a school or district level. So that's going to be a huge area of investment for us on the OneNote team, to really just make it super simple for you to keep creating it. We're going to keep putting out new content that is asked of us, and we love to hear the ways that you'd be using it.
Yeah, related to that, the other thing, Jeff, is a lot of people may not know, we've actually got a blog dedicated exclusively to OneNote in education. And the link's here, and I know it's on your site, but it's blogs.office.com /OneNote/education. And we highlight real schools doing things on this. So Sammamish High School just posted a blog about the impact of 6 months of class notebooks. We have case studies. We've got Avid in OneNote and how they're digitally delivering curriculum. We've got Forest Ridge. We have online connected learners. There's all types of real education scenarios, and you can see how schools are using it out there in the wild, which is nice.
Mike, I don't want to interrupt you, but I believe we have a OneNote ninja with us, ready to share with you exactly what it takes to go down that purple caped road. OneNote ninja, are you there?
No, I am not here.
You're Waka. Waka.
I went from 0 to ninja and apparently back again. But I actually have a question. I love all the data you can collect in OneNote, and I'm sitting here thinking about my kids that need special help and the people that need to see those reports. But is it safe? You hear so much talk about data security, and we really need to keep student data safe. So can I count on OneNote? Will it hold up to the audit?
Ari, you want to take that, or I can? Either way.
I can take it. Yeah, sure. I mean, the thing about Microsoft that you all know is, we are considered one of the safest companies. We actually have a cybercrime unit on campus. I have visited it. And so our cloud storage is extremely safe, and so OneNote will save to both personal OneDrive accounts as well as in Office 365. And so, me being on the marketing team, I'm talking to Fortune 500 companies about how safe our Office 365 cloud storage is. And so we have data centers all over the world and are extremely secure. And so OneNote, saves just like any other documents that a Fortune 500 company would save. And so we expect that type of security with OneNote notebooks.
We're sitting here.
Office 365 is certified in every possible. I think we're certified up through CIA level clearance. We have data centers in China, which requires high security. So Office 365 is about the 5-star crash rating of security.
We're sitting here on the Tech Educator podcast talking to Mike and Ari from the Microsoft OneNote team. There's a lot of neat things that you can do with OneNote, but we're looking at figuring out what can we do that maybe isn't part of the OneNote package here. Ari, could you talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you can do in combination with OneNote and a little app formerly known as If This, Then That?
Yeah, sure, Jeff. So OneNote actually has an API that's available for developers, and some of the developers actually at If This Then That picked up that API and created a channel just for OneNote. And so you can do all types of things with OneNote and if this then that to be able to, automate things in your life. I mean, of course, there's some really cool stuff you can do with IFT and other apps, and so you can do some great stuff like sending news articles from New York Times directly to OneNote or Feedly directly to OneNote. You can get your Gmail messages even into OneNote. And so that's a great way for you to be able to automate things that maybe OneNote, the application itself, doesn't necessarily do, and something that we're really investing in to make sure that OneNote is extensible to all different types of apps that educators might use.
We've done a few shows already on if this then that, and it really is amazing how it takes something that is powerful like OneNote and just expands it to add functionality for all these different social channels and websites and you name it. I know for myself, I like setting if this then that up for, like, if an email comes in, then it goes to my OneNote, or if I schedule a post, then it goes to my OneNote, or if David Saunders shaves his beard, then I get a picture of that sent out to my OneNote. What are some of
there are 463 OneNote recipes right now on just the if side of IFT.
And how many? I mean, there's so much stuff that's out there. I know we're planning to do an if this then that show, David, coming up here in a few weeks. I'm looking forward to you demonstrating all 465.
I will get to work right now.
Very, very cool. Guys, we're going to wrap up here, but I want to say one more time, thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you to everybody out there who's live. Of course, we're here every single Sunday night live at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Mike and Ari, what is the future? I know you guys just said that you guys released a few new features, but looking down the future here, what is the future for these types of apps and applications like Microsoft OneNote?
I could say, from a holistic perspective, the OneNote team, I think I said this last time, but I'll repeat it this time. The OneNote team is dedicated to the education space in general. We have engineers that are specifically focusing on education alone, and the company in general is getting a much tighter focus on education. I think, even the conferences we're going to, we're really reaching out. We're talking to customers on the OneNote team. And so in a general sense, you should see a much, much greater and continued focus in education from the OneNote team. And I'll let Ari talk about a few other details.
Sure. Ari, give us a little bit of stuff here while Mike gets off of screen share. Ari, let me ask you a question here. Is Microsoft OneNote considered part of Microsoft Education? Is it considered part of Office 365? Where does it fall in with the Microsoft infrastructure here?
Well, I'll tell you, OneNote, since it was kind of brought out of Office to be a free application and available to everyone on any device, it's really gotten a lot of focus throughout the company. It's kind of leading the way and also kind of being the underpinning of a lot of other apps and services that we have. So to your question, it's really all of the above. I mean, it's a part of our education stack. We see it as kind of the best first app that a teacher would use of Microsoft Office 365, but we also see it as something that any end user, so an individual mother and her children could use together for planning their household stuff. So it's really something that can be used in a number of different scenarios. And what you'll see in the future is OneNote actually integrating into a number of different Microsoft services. So, when we look at Windows 10 coming out at some point in the future, OneNote will be fully integrated into that, so that it's also a really apparent part of your life. So if you're in a meeting, you should be able to get meeting notes into it extremely quickly without even thinking about it. You should be able to be on your phone and be able to take a note really quickly, be able to take it on your watch. I mean, OneNote is really going to become the thing that everyone uses both in their personal life and their work life, and that's the hope for Microsoft.
I have to ask the question here because this is a popular question that we get. Why would I use OneNote versus that other elephant-like product? What are the advantages of going with OneNote?
I can answer a few of those.
Sure.
I would say there's a couple things. First, the combination of the organizational structure and that flexible paper plus collaboration together is very unique, I think, for any type of app. That's one. Two, OneNote is integrated as part of Office. We have deep Office integration, deep Outlook integration, and the Office 365 cloud integration, all of those things, the goodness of Office and Office 365, OneNote is deeply part of. I think the third one is just price, where OneNote is free, and we offer a great massive amount of storage for free, and almost all of our features are free. And so I think from a price comparison, I don't know the exact details on some of the competitors, but I believe the price you pay for storage in a competitor is about the price you pay for all of Office plus OneNote, at least in some of the education spaces. So I think that off the top of my mind, those are a few.
Very,
Ari,
very.
did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I would add is just, some of the stuff that Mike showed with class notebooks and staff notebooks, of the ability to have different permissions for different people in an organization like that, a school being an example. That's something you can't do with some of our counterparts and other businesses. So that's a great example of how OneNote is both extremely flexible but also extremely organized and highly manageable.
Can you have more than one person working on a OneNote doc at the same time?
Totally.
Oh, yeah. Hundreds.
At the same like a Google Doc, same exact time.
Totally.
Yeah, and what's nice is with OneNote, I could have a notebook that has 1,000 different pages and sections all over the place. So you could have 1,000 people in that notebook doing different parts of it at any one time.
That's cool.
Yeah, and actually, I'll say one other thing on that point. We are in the process of working with a number of conferences. So NCCE, a big conference last week, actually had OneNote as their conference notebook. So we are working with a number of different conferences, including the big Microsoft Ignite conference coming up in a few months, where they're going to have all of their digital materials and sometimes some of their old hard copy materials all in OneNote for the attendees to access. So you can imagine the number of attendees that are going to be accessing that OneNote.
That is a good use of that. I know with myself, I put all of my show notes, my prep notes and stuff on my website on TeacherCast, but whenever I'm doing demonstrations, I give them the OneNote doc because everything is on there. I can have a rich text. One last question for you guys. Is there a limit to the amount of space that a OneNote doc can have? I know the other guys have 100 megs. Is there limit? Is there a limit on what a OneNote note can be?
No, not really. In terms of I would say the only limit we have is if you put a gigabyte video file in OneNote, we block syncing it up to the cloud. Okay. But in general, our limit is your hard drive. And in the cloud, what's nice with Office 365, for example, is you get terabytes upon terabytes of storage, and even in OneDrive Consumer, you get gigabytes upon gigabytes upon gigabytes. I've lost track because they keep upping it, but there's no limit there. We don't. So
that is nice. I mean, the fact that you can put, like, for instance, when we do these shows come out at like 600 megs. I would love to be able to archive that. I didn't know that was a possibility. I might start doing that actually.
Feel free to put it in there.
I certainly will. All the show notes for tonight are going to be over at teachercast.net/TEP87. And we, of course, drop this show on Monday mornings every single week. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the show. Where can we find more information out about the great things happening with Mike, Ari, and the OneNote team?
Ari, you want to take it away?
Oh, yeah, sure. So you can find it all on the blog that Mike was talking about at blogs.office.com, whack OneNote, whack education. And then I encourage you to check out that other website that Mike showed you, which is OneNoteEducation.com or OneNoteForTeachers.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. David, one more time, where can we find out more about that great conference of that other company that we don't talk about right now?
You can go to appsuniversity.net, and again, that's June 13th and 14th.
Excellent. Sam.
Yeah.
You're relaxing from Q. What's going on with you right now?
We're so excited. Sam's actually taking a nap because tomorrow he gets to teach all his classes, and then the next day he gets to go camping with 6th graders. Yay! He's less excited about it.
Will you be podcasting from the camping trip the way you podcasted from the OneNote booth?
Yes.
Will you have a better mic?
Maybe it'll be further away from my mouth.
Got it. You can, of course, find all the information out about the show over at TechEducatorPodcast.com. Thank you guys so much for watching live every Sunday at 7 o'clock on TeacherCast.tv. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Continue sharing your passions with your students.